So today we're going to be talking about Ramayana, which is a great Indian epic. It deals with the mythology, the gods, etc. So before I actually talk about it, we're going to give you a brief preview of the story so you know what we're talking about. So once there was a great demon king named Ravan, and he was causing a lot of destruction on Earth. He also was very powerful, because he had all these tools and stuff, but also because he was a great devotee of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is one of the big three in Hindu mythology, and you can compare those big three to Greek mythology with Hades, Poseidon, Zeus. So in Hindu mythology, we have Lord Shiva, Vishnu, and Brahma. So the world at that time was in need of a hero. At the same time, in a kingdom called Ayodhya, there was the ruler, Dashrath, had three wives, Kekai, Sumantra, and Kaushalya.
So now, what he was not proud of is that he did not have a heir to the throne. And he really wanted a child. So since he had three wives...
Okay, so Lord Vishnu, another one of the big three, decided to come to Earth in the form of one of Dashrath's sons and decided to kill Ravan. That was his
plan.
That was why he came to Earth. So his name was Ram on Earth, and he had three brothers, Lakshman, Shatrughan, and Bharat. Now, all three of the brothers looked up to him since he was the eldest, but Lakshman was the most attached.
Yeah, he really stood up to his brother, and he had a lot of love for his brother.
He didn't stand up to his brother. That means okay. Anyway, so as time passed, they became strong warriors, all the good things, and soon it was time for their marriage. So their teacher, sage Vishwamitra, said that in the one of the neighboring kingdoms, King Janak is holding like a competition. So he has Lord Shiva's bow and arrow, and nobody can pick it up, but the one person who can will be married to his eldest daughter, Sita. So they all went just to watch, but his brother and his teacher pressured Ram to try and pick up the arrow, and he did.
Bow.
Yeah, the bow. And he did. So he was married to Sita, and surprise, surprise, King Janak had 4 daughters, so the other 3 were married to the other 3 brothers. Now, before, everyone knew that Ram was going to be king. It wasn't that, it was kind of like he was more capable. He was like the favorite. And one day before his coronation, Kikai's handmaiden, Manthara, she started manipulating her and putting thoughts into her mind.
So what she put in Kakai's mind was that, okay, so her son was not going to become king. So Kakai thought of that, and she's like, I want my son to become king. So she told Dashrath that she wanted 2 boons. One of them was Bharat to be king, and the other one was for Ram to go to exile for 14 years.
In a forest. And also Dashrath owed her 2 boons. So with a heavy heart, he agreed. But Lakshman decided that if Ram was going to the forest, he was going too. And that was the thought process of Sita too. So all 3 of them entered the forest. And, deep within the forest, they made a little hut for themselves because 14 years is a long time.
You can't sleep on the ground for 14 years. I mean, you can, but you need shelter.
So, anyways, Ravan's sister also lived in that forest, and she saw Ram and decided she wanted to marry him.
Now, Ram showed her Sita and told her he was already married. So he told her to go to Lakshman, and she did. And then Lakshman said, "I'm my brother's servant. Why do you want to marry a servant?"
So at this point, I always get this wrong. Shrupnaka, she got mad at Ram for no reason whatsoever. She was like, "You insulted my true love and called him a servant."
Now,
True love is not just staring at the guy, okay? So anyway, Lakshman, becoming angry at this because he was devoted to his brother, cut off Shrupnaka's nose and ears. Now Shrupnaka went to Ravan.
So she became mad, and Ravan, as her brother, also became mad, and so basically what Shrupnaka did is she made Ram and Lakshman the bad guys, and Sita like a beautiful maiden. So Ravan's like, "I want to see this beautiful girl." So yeah.
So he decided to come up with a plan to abduct her and marry her. He went to his friend Marich, who had the ability to transform himself into things, and Marich transformed himself into a beautiful golden deer. And he started prancing around the hut.
So Sita wanted that deer to be her pet, so she asked Ram if he could bring it.
So Ram went off to try to find the deer, and Marich started prancing away from the hut, so it was no longer in eyesight. And then at some point, Marich started, coming back into his true form and calling for help, to Lakshmana and Sita, but in a voice that sounded very much like Ram. So Lakshmana and Sita were obviously worried. So Lakshman drew a circle around the hut, and it had like kind of magical properties. It protected Sita from whatever. And he went off, and Sita was there all alone.
Then Ravan came. He disguised himself as a sage and stood near the hut and told Sita that he had been traveling for long and wanted food and water.
So Sita went inside the hut to bring food and water because if you've heard of the Indian caste system, sages and priests are above everything else.
And she was very kind-hearted.
And so she did not go outside of the circle. She instead said, "Could you please come in the circle? Because, I can't, I need to follow my
brother-in-law.
Yeah, brother-in-law's orders." So then Ravan pretended to act mad and said, "You're disrespecting me." And long story short, Sita stepped out of the circle and got kidnapped.
So then what Ravan did is that he showed his true form and went on a beautiful golden chariot.
Okay, he took his beautiful golden chariot and kidnapped Sita.
And the thing that I don't understand is, so what Sita did, she took off all her jewelry, ornaments, just threw them on the ground for a trail and clues for Ram and Lakshman to find.
Also, a bird named Jatayu saw all this, and he tried to attack Ravan, but it resulted in his wing and feet getting cut off. So at this point, Ram and Lakshman had understood what was happening, and they were kind of wandering aimlessly around the forest, and they found Jatayu, who told them the entire story.
He had lived long enough just to tell them the story. So then they started to walk again for help to find Sita.
And they, followed the ornaments, and soon they ended in this kind of rocky, mountainish area. And what they didn't know is people were actually living there, and I shouldn't say people because
monkeys.
They were monkeys, but that did not make them any less serious. They were, pretty powerful, and a formal monkey king lived there, and he became worried at the sight of the two strong men.
Because they were very kind-hearted, but they did look like wrestlers if you did not know them well. So.
Okay. Wrestlers?
I don't know.
Anyway, he sent his most trusted advisor to go and find out who they were. So Hanuman went and
his name was Hanuman.
So Hanuman dressed himself as a sage because again they're more
serious.
They are most respected. And he went and after some questioning he found out who they were. And so he took off the disguise. So he took off the disguise and he, started, not worshiping. He expressed his devotion to Ram and took them to see the formal king whose name was Sugriv. Now Sugriv had an evil twin brother who had taken over his kingdom and taken his wife, everything.
So now he asked Ram for help to get his kingdom back.
And again, I don't know how many times I'm going to say this.
Long story short,
Ram helped him, and in return, Sugriv decided to help him find Sita. So he gave them whatever he needed, such as, his entire army, search parties, whatever they needed. So they walked and, in search for Sita, and they came to the shore of an ocean. Now, Ravan was the king of Lanka, which is now Sri Lanka. So there's a vast ocean between India and Sri Lanka. How do they get across? Because they have thousands of monkey warriors and a vast open ocean. So they decided, you know what? First, we need to make sure we need to make sure that Sita is there, because if we somehow find a way across this, well, we don't know for sure. So Hanuman, when he was young, he had been cursed to forget about his powers because he had angered some of the gods. But they had said that he would remember them when he needed them most, and this was definitely a time where he needed his powers. So in a leap, he started flying across this ocean, and he turned into a humongous monkey because big is faster, I guess. And then once he got to Sri Lanka, he turned himself into the size of a mosquito.
Because Lanka had guards every single place. Not even a fly could go there without being swatted.
So he got there and, he found Sita in this garden, and he introduced himself
as a messenger
of Ram. And he had also taken Ram's ring to prove that he wasn't a bad guy. Now, he had all these introductions and stuff, but sooner or later he was caught. And even... So first he killed Ravan's, I think, 2 sons, a lot of his trusted advisors, but somebody soon caught him, and Hanuman went with no complaints because he decided he wanted to see the person who had caused Sita this unhappiness. So this is a very significant moment. It's not significant, but it means a lot. When he was brought to Ravan, he was pushed down on his knees. And instead, he made his tail grow longer and longer until he had made a throne for himself, with his tail, that was taller than Ravan's. Okay. Anyway, that's not that important. I just think that's pretty cool, significantly. But anyway, Ravan decided that this monkey that had caused him so much grief, should be public. I always get this wrong. Publicly humiliated.
So he told his advisors to put Hanuman's tail on fire. So now Hanuman found out about that, and when they put his tail on fire, he started setting the entire land on fire with his tail.
His plan was to take Hanuman and put his tail on fire in front of all the people who lived there, and then walk him down the street with his head hanging in shape. Hanuman obviously was way too smart for that. Then when they had his tail caught on fire, he escaped and put all of Lanka on fire.
So it was Lanka in flames.
Now, this angered Ravan beyond measure, but Hanuman got back and he told, Ram that he found Sita. This was the right way. All they need to do now is find a way across the ocean.
So what they did is they found thousands of rocks. So they built a bridge along the ocean leading to.
Now, before this, Ravan's one of his brothers, Vibhishan, had heard the news about Hanuman. And unlike all of Ravan's other relatives, he was a kind-hearted person. So he transported himself across the ocean, and he told them that yes, you guys need to fight Ravan. You need to kill him because he is putting, all these people in so much pain, and he's just not a good person.
Which is pretty obvious.
Now, he also delivered the news that, Ravan, what Ravan was doing with Sita and, kind of torturing her into marrying him, forcing her into marrying him, so on. So he was on their side. Then he left and went back to Lanka.
By the way, Ravan is already married.
Okay. And so then Ram had this idea to pray to the ocean god and ask if there was any way across. So the ocean god came after 3 days and said, if I let you cross, that would be against all, laws of nature. However, what I can do is each rock or anything that has Ram's name written on it will flow on my waters. And as you can build a bridge with these rocks, logs, whatever. And as you cross it, none of my sea animals will hurt you. So, a lot of devoted people started doing it. And again, long story short, they made it across. Now,
for the hard part. Ish. Kill Ravan.
So now they were, battlefields. And Ravan, one of Ravan's sons, Indrajit, he had many powerful weapons that were given to him by gods. So he used one that, it was an arrow that when it hit somebody, it turned into snakes and eventually killed them. So this arrow was so powerful that it hit both Ram and Lakshman. And they were, it hit Lakshman, sorry. And he was to the point of almost dying. However, one of the monkey doctors, they said, this herb from this mountain can cure Lakshman.
So Hanuman went and got that whole mountain.
Well, he went to just get the herb, but he couldn't figure out which was which, so he brought the whole mountain, and Lakshman was cured. Now, this just shows how powerful
Hanuman is,
but also how powerful the opposing side is. So after, all this, there was more fighting, and after losing a bunch more of close friends and family, Ravan decided to bring his last resort, Kumbhakarna. Now, Kumbhakarna was his brother, who was humongous, he was giant.
And so, but Kumbhakarna was cursed that he would sleep for 6 months and then wake up, eat, and then...
Wake up, eat for 6 months, and then go back to sleep. So they woke him up with food, and once he had eaten for about an hour or two, they told him about this war going on, and Kumbhakarna rushed out, but he was defeated. Now at this point, Ravan got so mad that he himself went on his chariot. So this means that he was up here, and everyone else was down here, which meant he had an easier shot. Now here, the king of the gods, Indra, was not pleased, but instead of putting an end to the fighting, which, I don't get why he didn't, he gave Ram his own chariot. So now they both were level to level. Ram did succeed in cutting off one of Ravan's 10 heads, but one grew right back.
And
so at this point, people think he's immortal.
So I think we forgot to mention that Ravan has 10 heads and 20 arms.
Okay. And so then Vibhishan came on and he got onto Ram's chariot and he told him the secret to killing Ravan, which was to
straighten the stomach.
Straighten the navel. And Ram did that, Ravan was dead, Sita was free, and they all took Indra's chariot back. And that is a brief a preview of the story, so you can just imagine how complicated the other one is. But we see a lot of common themes in this story. We see loyalty, love. Some examples are Lakshman's love and loyalty for Ram, Ram's love for Sita, Ravan's love for Sita,
and then Dashrath's love for Ram, because along when all this was happening, he loved his son so much that he died within 6 days without his son.
Hanuman's loyalty to Ram. I mean, it's all over the place. You know, we can keep talking about this. So anyway, now we're gonna talk about some of our most favorite and least favorite characters. Now, obviously, pretty much everyone's most favorite character is Ram, and least favorite is Ravan. But we're gonna talk about most favorite and least favorite without them. So my most favorite without Ram is Vibhishan, because knowing that your family member is doing something wrong, a close family member is doing something wrong, and then also knowing that the only way to stop it is to be destroyed, and telling somebody to do it, well, I know it may sound wrong, but he did the right thing, and that takes a lot of courage, because he knows Ravan like nobody else. They grew up together.
Yeah, so my second favorite character is Lakshman, because he loves his brother so much that he's like, I'm not letting you do this alone. So he also came in with the exile and was pretty useful.
Yeah, so I feel like both of those are pretty good people. And then obviously there were a lot more people that we could have said, like Hanuman, Sugri, everyone.
But, not everyone, because Ravan.
So anyway, least favorite. What's your least favorite?
My least favorite would be Kakai, one of Dashrath's wives, if you forgot. And because she's the one who took Mantra's advice and it's like, okay, I'm not letting this happening. And if she hadn't put him to exile, none of that would have happened.
Well, I think it's Mantra, because Mantra is the one who put the idea into Kakai's head in the first place.
That's true.
Okay, now we're going to talk about our favorite things, our favorite incidents. And my favorite incident is Hanuman going to Lanka for the first time, because Ravan thought that Hanuman was going to be publicly humiliated, but who really was? Ravan. It's sad. Just the satisfaction. The satisfaction.
Okay,
it's satisfying.
Yeah. My favorite part is Avi when Ram just kills Ravan. So that's pretty obvious because all the trouble's gone. Yay! So.
And now we're going to talk about some loopholes, because I don't know if you haven't, but if you think about it, there are some loopholes. Like Hanuman, he could have grown as big as he wanted, and he could fly. So why take the trouble of, building this rock bridge when instead Hanuman could just become this enormous being, and everyone could just climb onto his back or something.
And one loopole, okay, why did Kakai not kill Ram and just put him to exile? Because
this may seem a little harsh because you don't want Ram to die, but
still,
it's like if we're thinking in the mind of Kakai, what if Bharat is king, right? And Ram goes to exile, but what if when Ram comes back, he takes over the throne? So why not just make sure he never does that and just kill him?
Yeah, but Kakai was not. I'm pretty sure she wasn't thinking, but she was so mad and she's like, I'm gonna exile him instead of. And she didn't think about the.
So that is all we have for you today for
this video,
Ramayana, and we hope you enjoyed.